All right, welcome back. This is the Epic Morning Show. They come to you live here on Epic Radio. We have to apologize because we did start a bit late. But let me get straight into a conversation here this morning. Good morning, Melvin.
Good morning to you and to Fambulem, and one day they will watch me for the very first time.
Okay, yes. And the one day will watch me for the very first time on Slpp TV.
Of course.
Now, let's get straight into it because you must have read the manifesto from where you come on yesterday. What's your first impression when you saw the document?
Well, firstly, I look at the bulky nature of the document, 118 pages, and like we predict, a left group book work for study and read down and try for digest them. So, firstly, it's elaborate, but also it's well contained. And perhaps my only reservation is that some of the issues that we sent will be the anticipate, not to all a capture, particularly contemporaneous issues. But yes, I think the one that we write and try, but we'll get a lot of work for dissect them.
Oh yes, we have a lot of work for dissect them. And yes, on the face of it, it's really comprehensive, given how the structure was built, focus on who side meets government, how much they have done, and what's in the future get for look like, making concrete promises as well. But let's delve into those promises. Something we can take a center stage in agriculture. Continuously, this is something the president have hinted on for quite a long time now. And we might see a policy shift and a title in whole program on agriculture as feeds alone. With the plans we don't see around the feeds alone initiative. What do you think about that?
Well, first thing, a fine idea, but like all manifesto, the question for do it, how will it be implemented? The how seemingly missing. It's very glamorous, a very fine for read, a fine for your read, but the step-by-step breakdown, I think say now the only thing they will need for look at how it want for do them. Yes, of course, they propose that there is going to be an increase in the budget for agriculture, welcoming, but how and when, it's not clear. When that could be, is it going to be if you win in the first year, second year, third year? It's not time specific. So with that, we for celebrate, but limitedly.
And that's it. So even when we talk about budget, 10%, we increase up to 10%. Given the ambitious things that was stated in the manifesto for agriculture, you say 10% of our budget will be able to cover it because you are looking at how far education has been transformed. But we had to dedicate at least 20% of our budget every year for make we invest in them seriously, for really for make it take off from the ground.
Of course, if exactly that's the right citation. If education take 22 or so % of the budget, and we see some of the tangibles despite the challenges, it's just not reasonable enough for allocate 10%. Something you see in your flagship. I think there's a mismatch there, because if the flagship before now was free quality education, and you put 20 or so or 22 or so % to them, and we still get challenges, then what's the realism in saying you add 10%? 10% is how much of the GDP? And besides, where will that money be drawn from? Because we're talking about revenue mobilization too. So it means say that 10% is, I cannot say hyperbolic. No, I don't want to say hyperbolic, but it's hypothetical. Because if the money not that 10% of the goodie, and 10% in my estimation cannot be enough for one of the hungriest nations of the world, for a nation where still people they go bid, not bid, they not eat, for a nation where me and you, Jawad, not eat 3 square meals a day. 10% cannot be enough, because with 22% already on education, yet still there are challenges. How can you say 10% on agriculture and you want to make a flagship? And it cannot be enough.
And that's the thing. So even though the president promised he will focus on agriculture, he is not clearly saying that this get for being flagship. Perhaps that is something when Imran join we later, he might want to give us a clarification on, because according to the manifesto, then still get for be committed for sustain the investment in an area like education. So most likely we might see that 20% way don't go to education still continue. So it means if we want for up the budget of agriculture, like we say, we have to find money somewhere. And who we get for cut that money from? We will have to obviously generate more.
And it's not clearly defined. I mean, perhaps with time we'll go into how government did talk about the economy, but it's obvious that firstly the government not clear on who side that money go for come. Now one, then two, even if the money come out.
But so far, one of the things that I think we didn't highlight is that for the sector they have been able to mobilize up to $200 million. So perhaps that's an indication of who side then plan for pull the bonus money for invest.
$200 million. That is, if you go through and back, it's not coming from government coffers. They are anticipating with donor and partnership funding. Go through them again. They are not saying that.
Oh yes, I mean yes, that was donor and partnership funding.
Of course, they're not saying they get the money readily. So what if, let's say, Ukraine and Russia war not done, so that money will come out? And this is the problem. The manifesto, something we miss in the Jawad before we take me on other issues. The manifesto not talk anything about justiciability. So for me, it's a mere document. It's a mere document. A government gets then do it and say they not do. I would expect this government to be bold enough say this we are going to do it. If we don't do it, take us to task. But it's not clearly stated in this 118 pages document. So like a mere literature this until it is implemented. For me, it's just a word and a mouth, quote and unquote. The how that Jawad. I mean, I know you said don't read the document. The how for me, now I struggle with how lofty promises. Very flamboyant, very glamorous, but the how is missing. And like all manifestos, I just now the kind of read before the kind, so how to analyze the manifesto. And one of the benchmarks now that the budget, now the key thing. If the budget is not readily available, then you are only hypothetical. I don't want to say hyperbolic, but hypothetical. It's just an hypothesis. If you not did it, not did it. And this government not bold enough for tell we say, if we not do it, we not do it so. So it's just for me that the same old reggae. The same old reggae, you can make big promise when you know do an above case.
And I still want to stick to some of those things that were highlighted in the budget. In the manifesto, and so an area as well that quickly we'll take a brush at, and so job creation, something that a lot of people have been talking a lot about for a very long time. So the president is targeting that in the next 5 years, we want to create 500,000 jobs for young people across the country through several means. One of them means, and they actually now for create a presidential job creation initiative or something like that. So what do you think about that particular proposition there?
Fine initiative, because they speak to the problem of unemployment. But again, what avenues, what specific areas the government creates the job then they? Is the government going to employ more? Is the government going to create the enabling environments for SMEs
and
private sector for can create a job?
And yes, with private sector, of course, these are things we explain. I think where you go right down, there is 5 areas, and then you get clarity on how all of them things and they get for be done. And one of those things is giving incentive to private sector for when they go spend for train, and the money they go spend for hire for train. Government get for create some incentive for them more and more private sector people invest in young people.
When that could be, it's not time specific, it's not time bound. So the government will tell you say we want to do this, but if a situation arise, definitely then we can't tell you back say now this is not a plan, but so and so. So it's the how. Now the big bots by the manifesto. The how is not too specific. Yes, in some cases they tell you that this mechanism one use. But if you try for unbundler or you try for pull separate the flesh from the bone, you get for end up to the question how. Now you say you want for create more jobs, you want for get an initiative where they foster and pioneer private sector then for create jobs. Welcoming idea, because that's everybody we don't speak to. But how you want for do it? Is it going to be in partnership? Is it going to be in what we will call as a collaboration or in isolation? Government is not specific. Government is telling you what they want to do, but they not tell you how particularly that particular side on that job. Instead gets bought on how. Then they say this they want for do and they want for partner, they want for come with this initiative when not specific. Jawada stand for be corrected when it's not stated. How the attempt for say how, but it's not clear. It's not clear.
And when we look at specifically when it comes to job creation, we've seen a lot of talk as well about upscaling the skills them where young people and get as well, and some of them as well give them digital skills as well for moving to the digital. I'm keeping some of the really difficult and hard questions for Imran when it comes, really, because maybe he will shed light on a lot of then issues and we will still need for clear around the manifesto. But specifically on that as well, for create jobs them as well, we go able to encourage young people for moving to the digital sector. I think there's a side where I also see that there's going to be incentive for young people who want to start their own kind of business and create employment. Something as well that the president have been speaking about for quite a while now.
Exactly. As you rightly mentioned, that's not something we knew. And the government, for once, they take the bold step for say this the one for doa. Again, Jawad, I don't want for be monotonous in this how thing. But the how, if you get them for Fambul, and not clearly stated, and the when. So perhaps when Imran come, we'll therefore take her on into details. The manifesto, from a superficial look, when you watch the document, a very, very promising document. But what's missing now the details where they make it happen, the implementation details. You know, why you not give time? If you tell me say in the first 1 year or in my first 100 days in office, I will look for the kind of thing in the manifesto. Say my first 100 days or my first 1 year or my first 3 months. But in our states, so we will see if President Bio win back. It go 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, sometimes 5 year. He can't tell we say, it's not possible because of this and this. So the manifesto, now a good document, Jawad, as we all on the cry, but the absence of what if it not happen, what will happen? Now I'm missing. And not only the Slpp manifesto. If you look previous manifestos of other political parties, and if you even look generally political parties, their manifesto, very glamorous, but the how Nike missing. So we will need somebody who can tell you how in this case, because digital, and also we get a corridor, we get a drone corridor, we get the is this secretariat run by Senge? They all been done there. So let we count the benefits, whose difference they don't create. Of course, in some sectors, like the education sector, difference there, because now I'm going to tell you say that's a day. But for the other new inventions or the proposed innovations, they're not specific, Jawad. They're not specific at all.
And speaking about our specificity as well, I'm seeing a lot of premium is also been laid, I think, with Star Youth job creation policy for girls as well, for create a special program for create job opportunities for out of school girls, because they also don't be a vulnerable population. The moment they drop out of school, sometimes then they struggle with what next should they do. And a promise like that as well, it's also good, but it's also very important for actually understand how exactly it will be done.
A good but tricky, Jawad. You say out of school girls, and there are labor laws. You get age where permit you for being a laborer. So if you are talking about out of school girls, and you are talking about work, how do you reconcile it with the labor policy? How do you reconcile it with existing laws? So for me, a good way this manifesto talk about constitutional reform, there is an aspect we talk about.
Yes.
And for me,
and when they promise a referendum.
Exactly. For me, I think that the most appreciating fact that, but instead you get bought when the referendum get for be. I don't know if I not read and find out, but not the day.
Yeah, and specifically with that, so yes, with job employment still, I'm still looking at areas like I will talk about the private sector, and one of the things I must see here that they go set aside a special fund for reimburse cost of hiring, training, and upskilling youths incurred by private sector. So if private sector really spend their money for hire, train, and develop skills, then they will be looking to reimburse them.
By what ministry? Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Trade?
Well, that was not quite made clear, but yes. So one of those things as well, why some of the time plans like that are very good on paper, but implementing it as well, you get for also whether political considerations will come. I'm looking at a plan like creating job opportunity centers in several districts across the country. And I know this is something where at some point I think the President Nkrumah government tried for creates I mean these kind of centers across the country. It just didn't take off.
Now this same government may promise to say every district will get your own factory. That factory then they and not they. So this now a lofty a fine na the paper. Now that we all the wish for. Let me don't be too pessimistic. But again, because this is a political document for reader with two eye, the left eye and the right eye. The right eye, it go look like for say a fine. But the left eye now they watch and say, something missing. When you not state, how you not state, by who you not state. A key, because some of we don't do project management. A key for let you put results, output, responsibility all together. So if you want to look at this manifesto as a project proposal, then if you write some back. Sincerely, if you want to look at this as a project proposal for Salon for the next 5 years, it needs to be written, because not only the how, but who and when are essential, and where the funds will come from also essential. Wherein you get a document like this when they speak to whose institution get for the waiting, when and how. For me, I think say then just do this document because they want to satisfy that we call say able. In fact, they always apologize self. I go launch manifesto the day we campaign this starts.
And still, I want still for stick on the subject of, and by the way, we are still waiting for Imran Silla from government of Sierra Leone for joining and really throw a lot of light on some of these issues that have been highlighted here on the manifesto. We hope he turns up and then really help people make you dissect some of these issues. But perhaps for me, one of the areas that really did interest me in a public service architecture, because a lot of the time, for a very long time in this country, there has been cry about the fact that it's not efficient, it's not professional. If you business basically go na government, is so slow. Some of the time, not so because the people already not sabi do their work, but morale and so many other things just really they on the low.
That is page 68, right? Talking about strengthening the public service.
Yeah.
Of course, we know say service delivery na salon a problem. And I want to thank the government. If you read the introductory part of that, they accept that there is a need for an improving in
service
delivery. Kudos to the government for once. Then talk through. That is not a rhetoric. They admit, say yes, despite the no run 5 years, but yet still the public service is ineffective. But look at the proposed reforms they are bringing forward. Were these not the same reforms that we proposed in the last manifesto? Jawad, now we will not get Boku time. If we will get Boku time, we will take the last manifesto and this one, we'll put that in tandem. And since some of these promises, not a new promise standing for revive or revamp the public sector, the idea is then they when, how, why.
And they talk about
the why is clearly explained.
They talk about the Wages and Compensation Commission as well, something that has been spoken about for the last 5 years as well. Yeah. As it's still surface on the manifesto.
Yeah. But if you not be happy in that last term, wait not the assurance say we're happy in this term. I wish Imran go there. Wait not the assurance say it didn't the last manifesto. It didn't this new one also. But if you're not happy, who takes responsibility for that? So the government understand the problem. I want to commend them for that, particularly on in that of the public service. They admit say there is a huge problem, and if you put that into juxtaposition with the MCC, it says say is it called effective governance category?
Yes.
Or good governance category?
No, not a good governance. I think government efficiency.
Government effectiveness.
Government effectiveness.
We don't feel consistently, and the government. That's the one realistic side of this manifesto. I like the government talks and bang say this side. We not perform, and we want to perform now. But again, the institution they want for use for where they want for use for creating this reform. I think there is a mention of is it the public sector?
For Public Service Commission already.
Service Commission,
yes.
And public sector reform unit.
Mm-hmm. And these institutions have been there for I think a decade or so.
So
now.
For me, it's not new. It's not new.
You think say for deal with every problem we have to set up a new institution for every solution? Some
problems need an institution.
But it also goes back to creating more and more institutions for do people and jobs.
Yes, let me go for Kotia Putia. We go for dig hole, cover hole. For me, they see the manifesto they open more hole than covering more holes. Yes, we want to create institutions there. Some of them justifiably needed. But we need to talk about some other redundant institutions, ministries, departments, and agencies. For example, political affairs.
Yeah, Ministry of Political Affairs.
What is that ministry they do? So the government, the dig hole, but in a cover hole. And in terms of establishing new institutions.
I want first to put the efficiency and professionalism really, because there is an area where they talk about electronic personnel management, and I know this was a proposal at some point I mean, when even President Bio came, there were ambitions about really making sure they track down public workers using electronic means. People come in, then sign in digitally. So actually, you know, the one that where they left government to 3 o'clock for gonna host, or you know, the one that where they come in 9 o'clock now you building, where reporting time should be 8. So, but so far right now there is no really no good way for track that.
Whose institution for do that? Maybe the actual that side. It's fine. We need that because somebody go work say 12 o'clock. I'm not saying for within our corporate and private institutions, government institution. Some on Friday now non-working day. Some on Friday now after 12 o'clock they're off. Whose institution therefore implements that? Is it going to be implemented by the Public Service Commission? We already suffer from what we call decadence. Whose institution? Ministry of Labor,
HRMO, maybe Ministry of Labor. These are all people that we actually they
all get the task, but what are the implementer? Because they already don't get their mandates and they before now. Let this manifesto not fully like for say the government will reinvent the wheel. No, some of them say 90 Orubo problem we don't exist, and they would we. They may not say then they would we. So who that they can do when that institution they will be set up? How they get for do? Because you talk about other institutions complying. Order for enforced compliance. What happens if somebody violates? For me, I don't see too much practicability in the manifesto.
Well, perhaps you might not see. Perhaps we might not see all of those nitty-gritty details until each of them sectors until each of them plan and when they develop implementation plan. Maybe you might have some details like that.
Yeah, Jawad, that's why we need a presidential debate. This manifesto, in fact, you don't make a more need for let we interview President Bio himself. This gave me a big pass Imran. Imran, I don't see anything to pay him for. But this is President Bio, maybe we need for interview. Imran okay, can't talk, other person can't talk. But we want to get the flesh of this document. If it's not President Bio, if it's not Napoleon, if it's not Prince Adin, who else? And besides, who a committee do this manifesto?
Yeah, and
the forward. We go to the forward. I will look for who are the people who put this manifesto. I don't know if it didn't at the last page because I not read 80 pages. It.
Okay, let's go for a short break, and when we come, we will continue. This is the Epic Morning Show, and this morning we are looking through the People's Manifesto.
No other sign no day for you sport bets, Lek. No other sign no day we go make you win big, Lek. No other sign no day we get high odds, Lek. I say no other sign no day where they pay fast, Lek. Bets with the best betting company in the world. We don't come to win us alone, and it gets the best services. For register, it's easy. First, download the app now with website 1xbet.sl. Use the by phone registration or full registration option and edit your profile with a valid ID card. Enter the official promo code and you go benefit from all the promotions and bonuses. Save or screenshot your 1xbet account for future use. As you complete your registration, so we give you 200% bonus straight. We go even up to 2,800 new leons, the biggest bonus ever. For more information, call with toll-free line 552 with any Orange number. Make your deposit or withdraw with Orange Money, Visa Card, 1xBet Cash, and many more. 247. 1xBet now the proud sponsor of Confederation of African Football, CAF, FC Barcelona, Italia Serie A, Lyon, and boku other sponsorships.
Hey Aminata, how the project go?
I just wish I can able for impact more communities and make a positive impact in our society. You na young startup or entrepreneur with an innovative business solution for help address social challenges in the field of education, health, agriculture, mobile payment or sustainable development. You na young woman entrepreneur with startup with an innovative solution for improve the living condition of women them. Our social venture prize na the answer. Now for apply for the 2023 OSVP award and pitch for grand prize of 100,000 new leons and the woman prize go be 50,000 new leons. Get the chance for take you technological solution or start up to another level. Apply now on www.osvpsl2023.inosl.com and www.posam/orange.com. Application will start from the 13th of March to the 21st of May.
Orange.
All right, welcome back. This is the Epic Morning Show. They come to you live here on Epic Radio 99.3 FM. If you just join, we are looking through the People's Manifesto with the Sierra People's Party launched yesterday, and it was launched in Kenema, and to a very, very loud crowd as well. Will be the chair on as the president, be the speaker, and other party officials, and then get a number of programs that we don't put forward. Just for recap here, there are 5 major programs, and Feed Salon, when an initiative for really boost agriculture. You have human capital development as well, winner for nurture skills for the 21st century. That's the caption with so many pointers under what they really want to do there. Youth employment as well. The major promise with that is creating 500,000 jobs in the next 5 years. Revamping the public sector, really winner for increased efficiency and professionalism. Tech infrastructure as well for a sustainable pathway and all of that. Perhaps I'm disappointed that I didn't see water and energy as the focal point them, and then 5 plans there, because at some point, even when we talk about tech, entrepreneurship and all of that, it's really
Light's not there, you do
a very difficult under these current circumstances because of the serious power challenge we'll get. And speaking about power, I come out a bit from them 5 major points there, but I'm going to go to electricity deliberately, where there is a section in the manifesto where it talks about for increased access from 39, from whose idea right now to 80%. You think that is feasible?
It can be feasible if the plans are clearly detailed. If they how.
There are clear plans as well on how for increased megawatts as well across the country.
Yeah, for me, then they get some specificity. Because then they tell you who said they want for take up. That is specific. We, at the end of 5 years, if they not care and go there, we will go for something because 80% we don't promise, right? But who's 10 and get for B? Who's 10 again for B? So the government, again, thankfully, they admit, say there are challenges in the energy sector. But how can you feed the people where lights not there? Where if we want to talk about mechanized farming, of course you need energy. If you want to talk about upscaling production and value addition, of course you need energy. So of course the government, this one, I think say then they look at the realism that we need energy. Home and dry, fine. But 80%, who's the money to come on? Whose technology for use?
Well, in
that area, I would look for boom boom on that side.
In fact, when it comes to access, much of what that is really pointing at now the fact that there's a growing demand for electricity all across the country, and then you have to count on that demand for really increased access. And for increase their access, they could also be increased by building more and more electricity infrastructure in those remote communities.
Is that what they are saying?
Because in here right now, the urban communities get electricity infrastructure, even though we know they get light. But then in the rural areas, it's a different story altogether.
Generation and transmission, now the age-old problem. We don't tell we say. In fact, that power in generation capacity, I pass with the G, but because of transmission problem. So then little detail and I think say the manifesto need for be explicit on them. If you are increasing it by generation, we already know say there is an increase in generation. No matter what you say, blackout deal, but contrary in my estimation, what people say Salona the darkest city. No matter what you say, it better small. Where I mean small, not of favor. But a better small. So if you want to go 80%, if it be Jawa, this country will be developed. If it be, development will be on the right trajectory. But the one great question back, now who's them and how? Who's them and how? Now any documents not provide much detail around. Yes, somebody who can talk for the government say 5 years. Fine, 5 years, a boku or no boku, because now an election we talk about. But if you have for 80 to 80%, now who's them inside the second 5 year if you get the second 5 year? Because this document, it can be an hypothetical document, so it get value if SLP win. If SLP not win, this document, it not get value. So the how and the when is still not be waiting said. But let's just go let's shift off one key area when a constitutional reform. Constitutional reform, the defendant in page 69. This point now are like where the government they talk. The government for 2023 to 2028, if they win, then they say that in commitment, we make the following commitments for the next 5 years. Enact a new constitution through a referendum. This will also come from the first 5 years. Let God make, if God agree, except we get another 5 years. Who stands inside the next 5 years if they win? This referendum get for be.
All right. So in the studio too, we've been joined by Imran Silla. Finally, we are happy to have you here, and because we get a number of things that we are going to really need clarifications on. And but good morning first.
Yeah, good morning. Famble Leon Audo.
All right. So at the start with the focal point where the president promised when agriculture.
Yeah.
And that agriculture we are promising to raise the budget in terms of call to action by up to 10% at least. With all of those ambitious things that were stated there, if you say 10% is enough for really get you to that goal,
For get you to the goal of
food sustainability with the manifesto they promise.
So again, I'll tell you thank you for the question. Yeah, you need for also now look at the track record of the individual. In President Julius Maada Bio, now the presidential candidate again for the Sierra Leone People's Party for the elections in June 24. And which I mean by that one day. Before Ibn Kana power in April of 2018, His Excellency the President campaigned around this country and talked about free quality education. And people doubted him. People literally been the mocker. That it was not feasible, it was impossible. No adjective, not the way they're not used for describe them big plans and big ambitions and big ideas. But here we are 5 years on human capital development, free quality education, and the successes that we don't make, acknowledged by everybody. Here we are on human capital development and healthcare, immunization, maternal mortality, infant mortality. For the first time since independence, that one and they don't drop down by 60%. Acknowledged by everybody. WHO then they come for ask now, how did we get it in 5 years? We will not get to any magic wand. What, my point is this. My point is this. Okay, you ask a question specifically on agriculture. I'm telling you about track record that this individual called President Julius Maada Bio don't make commitments than before, and he don't meet them commitments and And to your point more specifically on agriculture, let I just tell you waiting to happen in 5 years, and waiting for you, right, the confidence and the hope, and even Fambulo, they listen to this program, let them be rest assured and go vote for President Julius Maada Bio at the elections in June 24. And I'll tell you the reason why. Increase yield from a national average of 1.1 tons per hectares to 1.78 tons per hectares. So even in these 5 years, right, we're in order to put on center stage, but I mean, clearly as part of the manifesto commitments there, we see rice yield, the national averages don't go. And consistently don't increase rice production in the last 3 years. One
for tie that to results. It's important.
But that's the context.
I know. The reason
that's
why
the context.
The reason why would they say this? When you put those manifestos out, you expect we for interrogate them. That interrogation means here we are going to look at how can you scale up these programs and really achieve some of them target that we don't set. So if you point back at successes which are good, but that not necessarily guarantee success in the future.
But again, so they can always say them Creole there. You know, I get half Creole blood, so I get them boku Creole parable where me late mama been tell me some still stick na my brain, And said I'm married with the sweets na by waiting, na by the bachelor's eve. That will get for better tomorrow. Now from today you begin know. They say that head we come for touchstone, like what you do. It ending up for touchstone. Yeah? What am I trying to say? We don't see indications. Right? There's within the Bible say, oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. The foretaste of glory divine. What is my point? Consistently, we don't see increased rice production in the last 3 years. With a 900,000 metric ton. I think I'm just done. So that people can go.
I want to tie that to results,
no,
which I know
I'm
you
not
will
done
appreciate.
yet. You still the time to results. Just done, and then you can tie all tina, can give you hope. Do it you have.
Tie it to results means,
right?
say, I'm looking
with
at
a 900,000 metric tons produced in 2022 season, which was a 22% jump from the previous year. Yeah, there has steadily been an increase towards rice self-sufficiency now at 75% compared to 46% in 2019 enacted in Sierra Leone. Here's my point.
And
Here's
that's
my
point. So
point.
before you make that point today,
So when
if
presidents say
all of those achievements in agriculture can really be counted by we ordinary people when we go in the market and ask for rest price,
so this
which is over 600,000 now per bag,
So this is
local or imported.
So this is the point, Jawad. All of them in there are not just pluck them from thin air and bring and canal. These are things that will actually happen in 5 years. But then you also have to understand, let's just give one other one, right, as I determine to your question. In April of 2018, before April of 2018, we were importing $200 million worth of rice into Sierra Leone. Yeah? The recent figures is not $200 million. With all of them in there, it don't shade off a few $1 million, right? So about, I think about 160.
Despite the inflation?
Which is, $160 million worth of rice. I'm telling you about the amount of rice we count in this country that is still being consumed. So I feel your point, yeah, meaning rice is at a certain price. But I could also tell you that for rural parts of Sierra Leone, right, plenty people in there, right, we actually they consume the things that we then they produce now. But look, if we don't able to accomplish, right, we don't able to make movement on agriculture, on them basic figures there, as I don't show them to Fambulen today. What it now means, His Excellency the President now they can put agriculture center stage. Now that make if you watch, you call them the game changers them.
And where they say center stage,
accelerating economic growth and building resilience.
I see how big the paper they where they say game changers.
Number one,
and
number one is say na feed salon.
And at the council feed
initiative
salon
for boost agriculture productivity to ensure food security and inclusive economic growth. Look, that's the foundation. It put on center stage, so it escalate them. Right?
And speaking about
because
that escalation,
it is important for us.
What is not clear yet is we understand say you want for focus on that. But in a manifesto, even when you go under human capital development, it's still they maintain commitment in terms of financing the education sector more than the other sectors. So I'm thinking now if we are still going to be spending 20-something% on education, which is good, it don't give you some dividend. Usa will get for pull the balance money, Usa will get for cuts and now invest into agriculture. If we are saying this is our primary target, but we are still spending on another target much more than we primary target.
Nearly, again, at the film where you ask the question where you ask so now, right? And as you ask the question, something comes to mind. I think that means Samuel Eto'o, a poor boy, right, raised up in some poor communities, became one of the most renowned footballers, right, and succeeded. He win everything in time for Barcelona and Inter Milan. He say, he said the future belong, he said to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, right? His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, dreamt about free quality education, right? He believed in the beauty of that dream for every single young kid to have access to education and allow the limitations, right, for dumping that dream day. Here we are today, 5 years on. It is that same dream that President gets for the agricultural sector. So you
put that dream into concrete plans.
Absolutely.
And that's this is a plan that we are interrogating for agriculture.
Absolutely.
So not to dream no more.
No. So you they talk about. My point is it starts from somewhere. You have to have the vision the aspiration, the dream that this is where I want to be, this is where I want Sierra Leone to be, right? Despite all of them, which you could call limitations now and challenges. I call it challenge. Well, outside the money they come on, outside the this they come on. Look, His Excellency the President has those plans in place.
Yeah, but if you get the
When he
plans,
has
then,
a
is it
second
not
time.
right for me to ask him how we for raise the money?
So, oh, absolutely. Like be asked, you and many others probably be asked outside to raise the money for free quality education. But we have accomplished, which would have accomplished, so, and they don't make them commitments in it. And you also get to understand, say, in agriculture, right, you get ministries then at this country where get a lot of what you could call bilateral and multilateral supports and wherewithal, yeah? So it is how do you also harness those resources coming in, the sort of structure you'd like to see, the sort of how close you are for bringing a can to the presidency. Right? Those are all. So it's not necessarily also about almost there are tons of money that are available for do every single thing. I hope you understand. It's just the structures, the mindset, right? Other than the players, them, the actors,
okay.
Right? I mean, you have to escalate into the presidential level where president like the superintendent over and make sure that things are getting right, people and getting right every single day in that place. Look, but the bottom line is this. I want that we trust and believe in His Excellency the President. He has promised and delivered before. So not to like for saying on charter territory, you know.
All right.
Let
me shift
he
to
has
away.
done it before.
Let's shift to
so this is a commitment he don't make, right? How we forfeit salon and win yourself of the importation of essential commodities in this country.
Let me shift to
I
small
have
to
no
the
doubt that President Julius Maada Bio
I want to shift to small to the human
definitely go deliver on that.
to human capital development because now one of the primary programs that we still there for continue. And one of the things that where I see it's beautiful but also astonishing now that we are now talking about expanding the free health care for make it include every school picking at this country.
Yeah.
By doing so, automatically we'll be putting maybe 2 million or so people automatically into the free health care program.
Yeah.
We therefore take a lot of resources. Already the health sector is stretched. They need more than they can get. If we are putting 2 million people as well now for making them the health sector go to service them directly, it also means we not see we are looking at maybe increased revenue, increased investments and things like that. With this question as well, where are we going to get the money from?
Well, you know, I know if I be a journalist, I think so you're going for sending for be an accountant. If there's any working fund around it, because you seem to forget an obsession with to side the money they come from.
Yes,
and
it's
that's
important.
And that's a legitimate.
Now money in the fund government programs.
And that's
money is stop nonsense.
And that's
now money the fund government programs.
Now they fund government programs, right? I agree, right? But look.
So if you're not sure how they get the money, then it's just a promise.
You worry so much about outside the money to come. I worry about processes. I worry about structures, right? I also, yes, get concerned, say money get for be involved, right? But you can get all the money in the world, right? We don't see people that don't die pop out. All the money where they left there, all the fortunes where they inherit.
Those people are not a country.
But my point is,
we are a country.
No. So there's something called analogy. Lord get some reading in this discussion. There's something called analogy, right? You worry about money. I'm saying money does not solve everything in life.
It doesn't.
Even where you inherit all the money in Adunya, I don't see people who don't die proper. My point is this. If you do not have, that's just basic 101 life organizational skills. If you do not have structures, right? You do not have systems, right? You do not have a focus. You do not have an ambition. Money does you no good in the absence of all of them in a day. Yeah? And so President Julius Maada Bio is very systematic, very thorough.
And going by your
every
analogy,
single thing
if
right,
I go by your
that
analogy,
we have what we call game changers. Yeah? Now for do two things. Number one, how will they consolidate the gains we will achieve in 5 years? Yeah? But then also, right, breaking new grounds. Right, in other areas them. Follow get Salon to the position we need for get and to. Right? And I will tell you, I'll give you a similar story. In Ghana, back then when they Ghana for conference toothpaste, they had those big ambitions and big dreams and big plans. I mean, and they had big personalities were ending up for some president, like we'll get President Julius Maada Bio. So now, right, when we talk about their visions and aspirations for move Ghana from a poor country to a middle-income country, right, even their own people doubted them. I'm sure not everybody, even amongst the team there, will be served there, then in government, in cabinet, believed, right, that Rawlings, for example, right, would be able to achieve all of them in there, right? But he had his vision. He believed in the beauty of young dreams. Today, Ghana is now a middle-income country.
And here is something where
and so look, it is not impossible. These are things that are doable, right? We live in a state called Sierra Leone, where we are lucky enough now at this material point in time for get a president, right? We know they look to the naysayers.
And nobody know they look.
Get focused.
The thing is,
and it determined and driven with passion and energy for make sure so we accomplish the things that we need to accomplish, particularly in his second time as president of the Republic.
No one is questioning the president's determination. And here is the thing. This is not an obsession about money. I go back to the 2018 manifesto where Sierra People's Party developed. There's a whole section we talk about financing the new direction.
Yeah.
And that financing the new direction, firstly, it puts indicative cost. It puts measure for mobilize the additional resources for fund those programs. It puts measure for control expenditure as well. So if we are putting new programs into the new direction manifesto for 2023 to 2028, at the very least, the government should have some idea about if we add 2 million people to free health care for make it cover them, how much extra would that cost? And where we are going to get enough money for cover those costs?
So, I mean, fair question, very legitimate question. For everything where you plan for doing a life, you get a fair sense as to the cost implications, yeah? So when you put together a manifesto, particularly so for a responsible government like the Sierra Leone People's Party, right? For a responsible leader like President Julius Maada Bio, all of them figures they are rough sense as to whose the source of funding they come out from, right? They don't carefully think and through. So don't forget to say, this manifesto not just suddenly happened day before yesterday. Not the day before yesterday, then sit down and then pull and do. I mean, His Excellency the President begin talk about yesterday morning, right? It has been in the works yard through several consultations, in an alliance now with the NGC, then Sef Gideon. I hope you understand inputs and all of them into within His Excellency the President talk about. So what am I trying to say? They don't carefully, so you do talk about brains, they don't come together. Chief Minister, right, when ahead of the Manifesto Committee, Jacob Jesus Safa and others, Emmanuel Gaima, Honorable Dr. Kande Kolayom Kela, Honorable Mohamed Ramanswari, Minister of Information, and plenty others that don't come together. So they're not just sit down and they say, okay, well, Lord, do this, Lord.
Yeah, but if they're not cost time, they mean say their job not done yet.
So part of their thought process, my point is, part of their thought process also don't include and involve costing as two-sided and source of funding, and they get
which we haven't seen.
Yeah, so as we go along the campaign, I am saying my point is this: I shall say, you that is where your focus is, and I'm not gonna begrudge you for that one day. It's your entitlement as a journalist, Jawad. But I am saying, if there's anything to go by, yeah, it is the track record of President Julius Maada Bio, where people doubted whether free quality education was ever going to be possible in a state called Sierra Leone, right, in leadership as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. And here we are, a person where people doubted whether this healthcare, maternal mortality and infant mortality, immunization could drop down by as much as it don't drop now. Just in 5 years, people doubted it. And here we are 5 years on. So we have something to go by. You might worry about the cost implications, like all of us, yeah? Or people go on for ask. But we have a track record. We have a personality. We get somebody who don't deliver this much. And he's saying, this is what I intend to do. With the team where presidents to assemble around them, from vice president to chief minister to the alliance in Dr. Kande Kolayom Kela, right, and others, then we come together and put this working document together that president talked about yesterday. They are doable things. I'm sure your question is not, I'm not going to take them in a negative sense, yeah? I'm sure deep down in your heart, at your core, somewhere, you wish we go before. The state to be able to realize all of them things there. But genuinely,
every Sierra might.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but genuinely, realistically now, you have to. The devil is in the details.
But genuinely now, You do say, hey, we'll get him money for Lord, do them for let the state able for accomplish them there. Be rest assured nearly. And I also want for assure Sierra Leoneans them. Right? Let Lord keep the focus. Lord play the ball, Lord not play the man. Right? The focus is getting president re-elected. Right? And all other things, as the Christians then will say, seek ye first the kingdom. And all other things will be added.
I'm surprised how you don't become a pastor this morning.
His Excellency, the president, will surely be re-elected as president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. And then big visions and big aspirations and big dreams. Yeah? As Samuel Eto'o been said, the echo sentiments and they again. They say the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Right? His Excellency, the president, one Lord believe in the beauty of this dream. As to the Sierra Leone, right, what will be in another 5 years. With so many of them game changers. I could call them game changers. Okay. And all of them think they are not super hype.
And you are using a lot of Christian references this morning for justify those points. But Melvin, quickly, I'm going to go to our listeners, but shortly, I just want to comment a minute on some of the points them where Imran make.
I think what Imran don't say are just a testament of the fact that this project proposal for the next 5 years is incomplete. Because if you do project proposal, you make fine ambitions, aims, and objectives, and add the money important for make the change, give detail on that, for me not complete still. And it's good also that they reveal that the chief minister and the head of the Manifesto committee now begin to see why some of the issues they like how they put them. So
well, I think he was in 2018 as well, but yet still we had a very comprehensive manifesto.
Yeah, but again, we want to do due diligence. Let's go back to that manifesto and see how much was done and not done. And it's good that this manifesto they capture achievements, because that is what this document for me, it's a political document. The good about this document, a good for literature review. But in terms of situational review, circumstantial review, and evidence-based realities, there is a lot to it. And no one that I said earlier on, we need for the Communication Directorate and the Ministry of Information for organized press briefing for President Bio, that we ask him details, because some of the PR handlers of the state cannot provide details. Java, no one can show you line. Because no one for it's like for say, maybe doesn't speak the same language. And nobody not get vexed that we are pessimistic. But the fact remains is, like when BBC interview President Bio, remember that interview there, as to who side the money for come up for fund the free quality education, we need such an interview for President Bio on this one. The document is good for literature review, but it gets a lot of mismatches. Now one, it gets a lot of ambiguities. Now two, and of course, yeah, it gets some realities.
Let me hear from our public. 79994993. If you just joined me, this is the Epic Morning Show, and we are also live on Slpp TV. So if you didn't also want to watch you on TV, rescan your TV set to channel 37. Let's go. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Jawad.
Yes, Ali Dumbuya.
Indeed. At the last Imran Sila way they do mockery to the people who voted for change yesterday. In any area since 2018 to 2023 now, inside Sierra Leoneans they will say yes, we're proud of this government who vote for change. Yesterday we spend a lot of money. Yesterday we suffer due to economical problem, but today we thank God in this area. Even the flagship program when at the education. Because anybody will put quality there, now educated full. So to me,
well, unfortunately, no. You have the right for make your point, but you don't get right for categorize people.
I take the word back.
Fine, you have to. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So to me, I don't think we need for listen to any manifesto of His Excellency President Yo. There was a manifesto yesterday.
Thank you.
In all areas we don't face them. That's good. The people go judge. Let them just give free hands in the election. Let them answer from the ECSL.
Thank you very much. Let's take everybody for a minute. And we're going to hear everybody in manifesto, President Julius Maada Bio and every other candidate in this election. So whilst you will make your inputs, but you can't really tell us which manifesto to look at and which we don't have to. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, name us the call we from.
Me, Mohammed, called the call from Porto.
Yeah, Mohammed.
And talking about this manifesto, what did the manifesto talk about the economy of Sierra Leone?
Okay, that's something we'll come to. Thank you very much.
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, will they get you clearly?
Hello?
Would it get you loud and clear? Just continue.
Hello?
All right, so unfortunately, you are not getting us, but I think you want to ask a question about the economy. And here's the thing. Today is just the starting. We might not be able to dissect everything, but we have a month to do so. Good morning.
Hello.
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 Yes, go on. Name outside the call from.
Me not get you, but make a talk. I think I don't go through. Another literature book, just like how you, the journalists talk. Then I think Imram don't make it clear. See, I think the chief minister, now the chairman, we can get another unfulfilled promises. Then because 2018, the chief minister, they tell we say bread and butter. It means to say where the average serviceman go to Mami Fatu, he put the spoon at the rest. The spoon of touch the plate again. That was 3,000. Then we see up till now, he not fulfill. He say nine at the meaning of bread and butter. Then the average serviceman will call now. If that promise day, they fulfill them. Then we don't get a lot of things then we then don't talk. I think we are heading again, if they win, for the doom. John from John Street.
All right, let me hear more opinion, your thoughts about the manifesto, which of the points that you are concerned about, or if you have questions on certain points, let me also hear them. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Jawad. Malaika, the call from Kandra.
Malaika, it's been a while. You're welcome.
God bless you. Well, indeed. Well, actually, I want to beg for this from waiting him and they talk about everybody acknowledge the successes of the free education and the healthcare with them coming. But I want to tell me what I say. First of all, free education, not so novelty. About the free education. And let's give free education by paying subvention and fees for every student in this country, all universities. So not so novelty. And then at the Constitution of Section 9, subsection 4, which talks say free education are compulsory, so not of favor. And quite apart from that, if you talk about mortality health, we don't go down. That's not so true. According to the manifesto, the first after every 5
you have to check your you have to hello
village, they go build PHU.
Hello.
But not no PHU,
all right.
Except the two
I think you know the get you have to check WHO statistics. So that is not just coming from government, by the way, about the reduction of mortality rate. So please check that.
Talking not super hype.
Okay.
I'm saying things that are factual, captured by international
right.
organizations.
Good morning.
Not to hype me,
Good morning.
Yes, name outside the call from. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Will it get you loud and clear? Name outside the call we from.
Hello.
All right, please, where you call we, if you pick your call, just continue for make your point. Maybe there's a technical problem with the line this morning, but just continue for make your point once we pick your call. Good morning. All right, I think we lost that call day, but let me put 2-3 more calls, and then we go try for wrap up the program here this morning. Good morning.
Brother Jawad, assalamu alaikum. Suleiman, I get you. Both you ask me, brother, the best manifesto will bread being get ready. All what in them promise the people that don't do are for farm. Then the other thing, brother Jawad, there will be people here who na the call na them program here. If na paid up program, they can say what in them feel for say. But if na you they call them, I think say now you get for control them. Then what you want for me then tell you now in them for tell you.
Well, it doesn't quite work like that.
I get for talk about the other day. Anything will get line. I say thank you, brother.
All right, thank you very much. The process of interview, I mean, right through is negotiation, give and take. So I probably understand where you're coming from. But let me put 2 more calls through, and then we go end with the calls for now. Good morning.
Good morning, Brother Jawad.
Yes, Mohammed from Hastings. Go on.
Yeah, Matt from Hastings. Brother Jawad, I think Mr. Imran Silano left anything behind. And what thing would they say about the president in manifesto, the things that when he say he don't do and what thing he get for do, I think now a good step for this country. Right? Like in the area of education, in the area of health. You know, sometimes some people, then certain things then where they happen at this country, even if not true on a reality things then, they want for turners to say, now lie on a fake things then the government they talk about. Some people no want just tell you any good news about this country, except the one where they say Subu Analythe. And about me brother, where they ask you say, where you call people then for interview, and I will see you once, night them for say, no. People the way they come at the studio, they have their right to their opinions. Likewise, the journalists they get questions the way they ask them, and what you then get for answer, you now go answer yourself. Not so by phone.
All right.
Let brother Suleiman get that clear. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I put through one last call, and then I'm going to come to my guest them here for make their response to some of those points. We really have to wrap up because we have another segment of the show for move on to 79994993. Good morning. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go on. Name also the call we from.
Hello.
All right, let's move to the next caller. One last bonus call here on 079994993. And don't forget, this is not the end. We get to dissect this maybe section by section or issue by issue in the coming week. So if you miss out on this, you might have another opportunity.
Hello.
Good morning. Name also the call we from.
Okay, Pamusa the call not was asked.
Okay, go on, sir.
If you're not there, you become not there.
Yeah, Pamusa, go on.
First one, the start for three. Wake up at the light in begin in a house. Did you have the hand? Them begin the lead and go turn professional liars there. And this probably don't tell you say a manifesto 2018 manifesto and all what he been don't talk, he don't do all. Then he don't even put bonus per tapam. Then why now you go tell you say he don't do some? Then what you left, you can't do the next 5 years if he win. Huh?
All right.
So that is all what he been don't talk, not do.
Thank you very much. So let me come to you, Imran, on some of those questions that we've had. We might not have time for all of them, but let's do that in 3 minutes.
So I notice a few of the questions them touch and concern the economy. Yeah. Let's just remove myself from this exercise or campaign today, and just imagine, say, Imran Sila not been connected to government in any way. But I've been all registered for votes. And I've been they try for look now for see between political parties there. Because I don't talk to plenty Sierra Leoneans. There are nothing say which are there about for say dissimilar from within that then calculation in terms of who to vote for the one that were undecided. We talk about challenges to the economy, acknowledged by our government. APC could come and tell us, say, nah, then go fix the economy, then go solve them. But again, you get for now go back. If me not be a voter, ordinarily, not get any association affiliation to politics, right? In the way they do so now. I go begin for ask myself the question. APC, fastest growing economy, 21%, left with austerity. Samura Kamara advice and Escoma, we left with austerity, where the other government can inherit. Another one and they can now and tell we say we left with austerity and they can't tell we say they will fix the economy. When austerity the left upa. I mean, if I were an ordinary voter, those are the calculations I've been making in my head.
But you're not, but you're not an ordinary voter.
Or this other one will come, where honestly, they acknowledge challenges. Not can tell say fastest growing economy at 21%, because I do not know, and probably certain I make cannot be the dual per maths in a school. Thankfully, anybody can explain maths any kind of way, so that one for belief. Right? If common sense not been there, but small common sense they are capable for analyze as small. Because I do not understand, not for the life of me, Jawad, how 21% fastest growing economy, they turn to austerity within months. Or I hope you understand. That there is no maths. Right way they explain that one day. Fastest growing economy, 21%, as them be the tout, and Escoma, because now Samuel Kamara have been the advice now them in that sector day.
Why it good for true stone, so but it's also good also to look at waiting government plan for transforming economy.
My point is this. President Julius Maada Bio don't acknowledge at every stage, at the start of COVID, Russia-Ukraine crisis, don't acknowledge say global economies are challenged. And Sierra Leone is not removed from that equation. Sub-Saharan inflation rate is between 15 to 35%. Sierra Leone is firmly within that bracket. Right? So we're not doing anything abnormal. Right? You go check World Bank report, IMF report, it tells you about the sub-Saharan inflation rate. It's between 15 to 35%. So we don't acknowledge. We are being honest. And that is why a lot of people As me don't travel with His Excellency the President, right now, rural communities, where President they go and engage and say thank you and talk to people, like explain to people like what you don't do. A lot of people they acknowledge him. A lot of people they appreciate him because number one, he's been honest. He not don't say this is the fastest growing economy we turn to austerity. He has been honest with the problems and the challenges we face. He's also honest about the way forward and the solution. That is what sets the SLPP apart. If I were a voter, any day, any time, I could take SLPP and somebody honest rather than somebody who be talking about austerity, right? We talk about fastest growing economy, ending up austerity, and hand over and go. That is even a non-starter for me. So look, on the issue of the economy, we don't map out a way. We have talked about agriculture. We have talked about human capital development. We have talked about tech and infrastructure as pathways for sustained economic growth. I hope you understand. We don't talk about youth and how for us make sure so we get 500,000 new jobs. Reviving an economy is a multi-sectoral approach, right? There are components in agriculture. There are components in tech and infrastructure. There are components in youth. There are components in human capital development, nurturing skills and all that in a day. So it takes thorough work before turn this economy around. But then nobody can suggest for one moment in Samura Kamara, former financial secretary, former bank governor, former minister of finance, advisor and Escoma for left austerity, from fastest growing economy to austerity. Now, the answer to a problem. It cannot be.
At some point,
so let us get to more serious conversations.
Yes, at some point we go for obviously compare and contrast.
No, but that's a non-starter. Compare and contrast not there.
No,
it is a non-starter.
No, when the other when AP's manifesto.
No, but that is a non-starter. Look, so we. As against nearly,
we are going to have those conversations about the economy together.
I don't argue several times. As against every manifesto, there is an image for reconcile with them. As against the SLPP manifesto, right, and the first 5 big game changers that we would announce, there is a face for reconcile with that manifesto date. And that face is President Julius Maada Bio, who is the presidential candidate again. What do I mean by that? President and the manifesto. Now the two, they go together. He been doing the last term, he accomplished things then, and the things that have been committed himself to for which people vote for in this country. And where APC pulled their manifesto, the face for reconcile with her, Samura Kamara.
Obviously, that's what we're going to do.
Former financial secretary, former bank governor, former finance minister, we advise in Boss and Escoma say go announce austerity from fastest growing economy to austerity. And that is the face that you're going to have against APC the manifesto. Who do you trust? Do a sample survey of 1,000 respondents in a community. Okay. Get back to me. Nobody go tell you say that survey in conclusion go tell you say na Samura Kamara. It cannot happen, right? Not in this life. It will be probably in another life. You know, it give now say you don't do the sample survey then they that give me tell you say na Samura Kamara. That is a non-starter for me.
All right. Let me come to you, Melvin, on some of those points that the callers did make about the things that we will discuss.
It means say firstly the SLPP, yes, unlike APC, they start the campaign with a document. APC they starts for campaigns in Akarine, they not get manifesto.
They don't have a plan.
No, I am not saying your line, my brother. Let me
no, they don't have a plan.
Please let me land.
Oh, look, before you come, very quickly. All with the APC Abopa, right, is now the militant wing headed by Adebayo.
No.
Well, that is what they're interested in.
We don't want to amplify those opinions.
Now that make them not get plans. They will never have a plan.
The focus is on you and your manifesto today.
The only other plan
is... today, the focus is on you and the manifesto.
The only other plan is, now for go back to 1961. Okay. Nobody wants to go back to 1961.
Let me hear you, Melvin.
On the 1961, don't forget the history. APC and SLPP caused confusion 1961.
Let's go back to the manifesto.
On the manifesto.
Because we try for money time now.
I mean, this is the politics. So when me Edwardian brother they talk politics and I mean body they bet. They talk about 1961. 1961 now the problem of Salon starts historically because of independence. APC SLPP now they then begin this sonko. Don't get that in history, don't fool nobody. Then sooner than starter. Now, they talk about I don't commend them because they get documented the campaign with APC not get it and then they will launch their own they will not know. And now to the fact of the manifesto, from the callers, it should say SLPP then gets Boku work for do with this manifesto. And here is my point. My point is they need to do a lot of paid up programs for popularize this manifesto. From the call somehow don't get. opinion, if we do sampling, it means say the document is not popular.
We also have to make the disclaimer and be realistic that obviously some callers do have them political party interest already.
But we not get any filter for no who's that person they call from. Now people can call. Now that they look from waiting we don't get from the calls, it shows that the manifesto need popularization. In as much as the content, some of them very, very needed, but anytime you say the context cannot be reconciled with the context. So it means say Imran nenga boku woku, but above all, we the media, it's an opportunity for we forget money, because the manifesto is not the manifesto. Let be very careful with my word. The manifesto can be marketable, but it needs marketing. The Slpp manifesto can be marketable. But for now, we then call I would on get so it shows say in marketing, because there is a huge mismatch between realities and rhetoric in the manifesto. And if you listen to what the caller they benchmark on, if you don't promise with day, you say you don't fulfill all the promise. Not true. Not true. Say Slpp then fulfill all the things we promised at the last manifesto, sir. Because they say that I don't know if not true, sir.
We get free quality education.
No, not to that. It's okay. Una don't give all things Abonia now.
We get 3.1 million picking that we would pay school fee for.
Agree. Yes. We also have been the last manifesto.
Government they cover public exam fees.
Yes.
So you'd ask me question?
Yeah.
Where you yourself know the answer?
No, the people, not to me.
Anyway.
The people that they say, if you don't make promise the last time, you don't fulfill her, and you don't can make more promise, wait not the assurance. So it means say these documents it gets a lot of work for be done. The content is glorious, a rosy, a fine, a glamorous, all kind of fine things inside there. But the people there is a huge this word what I use, last word, mistrust.
All right.
There is a huge mistrust.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid I'll have to leave it there because
I can say something for 30 seconds. Not in response to them. Yeah. So a good for understand say where government say it will commit 10% of the budget on agriculture. That is an aspiration, yeah, basically. But which also down they mean once you fulfill that, you unlock many doors in the process.
And what if you not fulfill that?
You unlock doors when it comes to partnership with multilateral and bilateral partners, right? You get then comprehensive African agricultural project them, and then one in the week also come in, right? And right now, the World Bank are also involved in agriculture, right? And they have a lot of things to then support. Which thing we aspire for do, it has to be private sector driven. Yeah, okay. We have to understand that the government basically will lay the foundation, create the necessary conditions, get the necessary environment, get the structures and systems right? But then so when we do Freetown International Airport, right, we had that aspiration, not to government money being get for good day. It is called PPP, Public-Private Partnership. You have the ambition, you have the aspiration, you get to focus on a direction, right? Bring in private sector players, them harness their resources and talent and technology, right? And focus on partner one thing day. Once the environment right, that is how the world they go.
All right.
That is how developed countries and continue for be developed, not to their own money, not to own source. They go parenting and they.
Okay.
So careful understand all of them dynamics and context and they.
Don't worry. This is a conversation we're going to continue on so many other levels as well.
What's the difference between Madabio and Samura Kamara?
All right.
What's the difference?
Gentlemen, we can't open another Pandora's box here, but thank you very much.
Looking forward to the future.
But not to also be collaborate, but that as from which they pull out the debate, there also not to be workmates sometime.
No. One be the answer yes sir to the other one. Now President Julius Madabio,
the answer yes sir.
Naimi give Samuel Kama appointment. Samuel be the answer yes sir. So you know the in 5 in left ale will on you know. Namao don't use for let them get instructions, say patient and so for do this thing.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Imran Silla and Melvin Zijan Masari. And like I said, this is a conversation we will pick up for the rest of this week, for the rest of this month. We are going to be dissecting manifestos of political parties. This is the Epic Morning Show.